Did you hear? AWS just dropped a game-changing announcement. 8 new local currencies are now accepted, including the Nigerian Naira. But before you celebrate, let's break down what this really means for users worldwide. Spoiler, it's not as simple as it seems. We'll look at how this affects businesses in these countries and whether it levels the playing field for global users. Then we'll put this to the test. Can you actually pay AWS in Naira? Let's dive into a case study to find out if AWS delivers on its promise or if there's a catch. According to a report on the AWS website, AWS now accepts payments in 8 new local currencies. I've linked the source in the description below. This post was made on the 13th of January 2025. What a way to start the year. They go on to tell us that in addition to the currencies already supported, AWS US customers can choose to pay in Chilean pesos, Colombian pesos, and Uruguay peso. This means all 3 currencies will only be available to the AWS US customers. For context, these 3 currencies belong to 3 specific countries: Chile, Colombia, and Uruguay. All are located in the South American continent. It makes sense that AWS keeps those currencies restricted to their US customers. Then they go on to tell us AWS Europe customers can pay in Egyptian pound, Nigerian Naira, Polish Zloty, Romanian leu, and Ukrainian hryvnia. Again, for context, these 5 currencies belong to 5 specific countries: Egypt, Nigeria, Poland, Romania, and Ukraine, 2 of which are located in the African continent, and the remaining 3 are located in the European continent. Big disclaimer, all 5 currencies are only available to AWS Europe customers. AWS tells us why they're including these local currencies: to help in localizing the payment, avoiding foreign exchange costs, and removing payment friction. I suspect AWS is including these currencies because their data tells them that many of their customers are located in those 8 countries, and by making this move, they can rope in more customers in those countries faster than their competition, being GCP and Azure. Then the report gives us a walkthrough on how to switch to any of these currencies. Before we get into that, let's find out how this affects businesses in these countries. Before the announcement, customers in those 8 countries would have to exchange their local currencies for a standard currency, like the US dollar or the European pound, and then get a transaction card associated with that standard currency before they can pay for services on most cloud platforms. This process usually involves getting a domiciliary account, which isn't cheap to get or maintain. This brings us to cost factor number 1, maintenance fee. Some banks charge as high as $1 per month for maintenance fees on the cards. That's not even the biggest cost factor for those customers. Exchange rates. Converting local currencies to a standard currency usually costs more than stated official rates. For example, the Nigerian Naira's official rate to the dollar is 1,527 Naira, but locals will have to buy 1,630 Naira at the black market, which is a 6.7% profit to the middleman. For scale, on top of the cloud market revenue of $828 million projected for the Nigerian market as stated by Voice of Nigeria, $55 million goes to the middleman. Yeah, that's potentially how big this problem is. Does this level the playing field for global users? Well, for these 8 countries, it definitely does. Now that we've seen an example of how much money this could save, it makes sense that AWS would make this move. I wouldn't be surprised if GCP and Azure follow suit, seeing that these 3 companies are in heavy competition with each other. Who knows? They might surprise us with a different tactic. All right, with all that theoretical stuff out of the way, let's get down to the practical stuff. Can you actually pay AWS in a local currency? Let's find out. Back to the report. Let's follow the guidelines given by AWS. Log into your AWS account. So we log in. This shouldn't be difficult. All you need is your login details. In my case, I have a two-factor authentication setting set for extra security. Next, go to the billing and cost management page, so we do just that. There are different channels you can use to access the page, but for this walkthrough, I'll use the search box. Next, select Payment Preferences under Preferences and Settings from the left navigation menu. I think it would have been easier to follow through if they said from the left navigation menu under Preferences and Settings, select Payment Preferences. I also noticed they missed a quotation mark right here. Yep, AWS has a typographical error. Shame, AWS, shame. Click Edit to change your default payment preferences. Now, on this page, there are two edit buttons, one at the top and one at the bottom. Don't worry, I've done the fact finding for you. They're referring to the edit button at the top. Next, select your preferred currency from the payment currency dropdown. You'll need to scroll down to the bottom of the page for this one. Here we get to see the different payment options available. In my case, it appears I am an AWS Europe customer because out of the 8 new local currencies, I only have access to the 5 listed for the AWS Europe customers, which are Egyptian pound, Nigerian naira, Polish zloty, Romanian leu, and Ukrainian hryvnia. From what we can see here, AWS has a total of 13 currencies available to the AWS Europe customers. Finally, once you save your changes, AWS will generate your future invoices in the selected currency. This means that once you select a currency and click on this button right here, you will automatically be priced in that currency. You can see how they do it from the exchange rate projection. This is the price for the Egyptian pound, Nigerian naira, Polish zloty, Romanian leu, and Ukrainian hryvnia. By looking at the comparison between the AWS exchange rate and the official market rate, it's safe to say it's not that bad. Disclaimer: the AWS exchange rate would keep changing the same as the official market rate. That's exactly why AWS has a double asterisk tagged to the values displayed. Despite the benefit of paying for their services in any of these local currencies, the cost is still valued in dollars. The only difference now is that AWS gets to set the rates by collecting those local currencies themselves. This brings me to the most important question. Can you actually pay AWS in a local currency? For this to happen, AWS would have to accept the local cards. I have a Visa card for the Nigerian Naira. Let's put the details in. First, we'll have to select the local currency and click Save Changes. Then we go back to the Payment Preferences page and select Add Payment Method, highlighted in yellow. Once the card details are inserted, save the payment method by clicking Add Payment Method. Make sure the newly added card is selected, then click on Verify. Once you do that, AWS will deduct a $1 equivalent from that card, and you can now make payments with that card. So, to answer our most important question, yes, you can. However, you're still paying in dollars, only that you're paying the dollar equivalent directly to AWS. This is why it's not that simple. If rates change, your bills will keep changing. Overall, they've solved a big financial problem for countries that use those currencies. And we look forward to seeing how the other cloud providers would respond to this move. Healthy competition amongst tech companies means cheaper and better quality products for customers. Let me know in the comments what you would like to see more of in this channel. This is Larry Talks Cloud, and I hope to see you in my next video.